just to tell what do I do as a business mentor and a coach? How do I support the business community? By three different offerings. I do soundboarding, which is for business owners who just need somebody to listen to them rather than a full-fledged mentoring program. That I work with them as soundboarding. I do one-to-one mentoring. And in between these two is a group coaching where I run through a pre-program, a pre-designed program, and over a period of 5 months, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks program, and do in a small group of 5 to 10 people. I run these business mentoring programs. So these are the three different things that I do, and I support business owners aside from all the webinars and the others that I've already shared with you. So now let's start talking about what is the current state. Some of you have actually shared with me already that currently it is a very VUCA world. There is a lot of volatility, there is lots of uncertainty. New complexities have built up thanks to the hybrid work from home, work in the office, and of course, ambiguous. A lot of situations are changing for everybody. So what is because of this? I'm seeing quite often that business owners are getting quite stressed, and it's very, very valid, right? I'm seeing a lot of organizations struggling because clients are tightening their belts, both in terms of purchases or even in the credit period that they want from you. The clients themselves are having their own battles. They are, they're themselves struggling. And then when you are asking them for some support, it's not getting as heard as it was before, right? Complete new customer segments have developed, while some of the older, viable, profitable customer segments have either completely shrunk or dried up for us, right? Well, with all of this, as I said, not just about managing employees, even your customers have shifted. So I remember there was one of the articles that I had written quite some time ago, where earlier we knew that even if we go to the office, we would meet, especially in B2B, when we go to the office, we would be able to meet multiple decision makers, be it the procurement manager, be it the business head, be it the HR or the admin head. We would be able to meet up with them. Today, we as a B2B, even if you go to an office, we know there's a high possibility that some of them are working from home that day, or they are working from remotely from a different city altogether. And so it's, so even the customer working with customers remotely, I know a lot of businesses, especially B2B, they feel that they really struggle a lot when you are doing B2B selling remotely. There, demonstrations, face-to-face meetings have reduced in terms of numbers. And that is also a new experience for a lot of us. And it is impacting our bottom lines. So what is happening? Because of all of these, all of anxieties are really high, either all from even the business owners, the employees, our suppliers, everybody. And all of this has actually resulted in us struggling to predict our business plans, business models, business revenues targets, etc. And for quite a few of us, from 2020 to 22 and today 23, it's almost like having three different business plans, completely three different independent business plans. What we did in 2020 to survive, and then 2022 when we started making up for things, and now 2023 where we want to accelerate. Each of these three business plans or even business models could be quite different. So it is time for us to say, how can we change this current state right now into a new aspired state? What do we want in the expired state? We are saying, like, is it possible for us to actually change our, the VUCA, that VUCA into this VUCA? So we are saying from volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous to visionary, understanding, clarity, and agility. What does it mean? Let's try and understand this, right? When I say vision, It means that is it possible for us as business owners to develop the vision to see beyond the challenges, beyond the upheavals? Can we develop a mindset which is around discovery? And Vadvani does a lot of that, right? We have a complete discovery model itself within the Vadvani. What it means is we are trying to see if we can identify new opportunities and also manage the changes which are continuously coming in our way, right? So can we be better prepared for that? Now, for us to do that, you need to be able to understand the uncertainty which is currently prevailing in our businesses. Okay, so understand why are we struggling to predict the next 6 months or the next 1 year. And the truth is that no one can accurately always predict the future, unless of course we are all astrologers, and I know for a fact that I'm not. Okay, but what we can do is understand the options that are available, understand the risks that we are facing and manage them, do a balance between the options and the risk. And we will talk about how we're actually going to be doing that for each growth pillar of our organization. Okay, then we're looking at clarity. So complexity, the earlier C, which is around complexity, is because we have so many multiple activity projects or streams of activities. There are so many of them that it becomes very complex for us to actually even see where our activity is starting, where it's ending, why we are doing an activity, what is the impact it's having on other things, on other activities as such, right? So how is it possible for us to unravel this complexity one knot at a time? And that's what we mean today, what we're going to, today and on 29th, 2 days, we are going to try and take each growth pillar and unravel, find out what we can do each process, each system at a time. And lastly, we are looking at agility, right? How can we quickly, if we are able to develop the vision, we understand the risks and the options, and we are able to get clarity about why we are doing what we are doing and how and when we are doing, we will become more agile. It is possible for us to quickly respond to the market changes. And again, with the current news that we are hearing from China, we are already anticipating that there are going to be changes that is going to happen again this year. So can we be prepared for that? So and because we are prepared for that, is it possible for us to have a more predictable business model for our next year? Now, here's a thought I want you all to start with. In the last 2 to 3 years, with the way the market has changed, what do you relate yourself to? If you are from Bangalore, you will see the broken tree on the left is a very common sight. Every time it rains heavily in Bangalore, you will find roads blocked because trees like this have completely broken. They've blocked the roads, etc. And especially Bangalore being a city of the garden city, right? A lot of these trees are very, very old. They look solid from outside, but actually inside they are weak. Andar khokle ho gaye. And that is why whenever there is a heavy rain, they break very easily. Whereas on the right side, you are seeing the palm trees. They look small, they look thin, they look lean, but if you see very easily, they bend in the same direction of the storm. They lean against the storm and they're able to bounce back. So look at your business and try and identify which of these pictures is actually reflects your business. In the last 2 years, have you become more brittle, hard, and you're worried that you're going to break easily? From outside, you look like a 200, 300, 400 crore business. Your top lines look really good, but your bottom lines are struggling. Is it that, or you are like palm tree, which is actually leaned over the last 2 years against all the challenges that you faced. You have made some course corrections. You have been agile. You have made those changes. You've realigned yourself. And that's why today you are in a better place to be. And you're looking forward to the next 2 years. Okay. Now, every business goes through a life cycle from the startup to the growth. You reach a maturity, and at some point of time, you start declining. Many organizations move into are able to revive themselves, and at the same time, there are many organizations who have to completely close down. Now, in my opinion, when I work with business leaders, they start thinking about reinvention only when they are in the decline stage, when they're going downwards. Unfortunately, that's the most difficult stage to at which we can start to reinventing ourselves, because at the decline stage, the focus is on what? It's on saving, cost savings. It's on, we have limited funds, limited time, limited customers, limited resources to actually afford a complete reinvention. Okay. So I would always advise for organizations to look at reinvention at the growth or the maturity stage. Of course, startups are starting with reinvention. They're reinventing how people are doing things. So for established organizations, it is always best to look at reinvention when you're at the growth or at the maturity stage itself. Okay, but to be honest, reinvention can be applied at every stage, but the best stages are the growth and the maturity stage. So now the question that you need to consider in this slide, okay, is at what stage is your company right now, especially in respect to the market. So how is the market on a growth stage? So potentially you have a big runway where you can also look at a growth phase. So if you are at that stage, now let's start talking about reinventing. If the market is not doing very well, then you need to look at how can I reinvent myself so that I can do better than the market, right? Either which way, it's a great stage for you to look at reinvention. Okay, so you need to look at where is my country, where is my organization, what part of the life cycle is my organization currently in, and what is the need and what is the urgency that for our reinvention. This is I think it's a very common phrase. All of us have heard this, right? What got you here will not get you there. So what has brought all of us to this stage of an SME, whatever is our top line or your bottom line, especially in this coming years, what your future holds for, you will have to look at reinventing yourself, right? You will have to look at doing things a little differently. Recently, I was talking to the branch manager of an organization. This is a family-led business, and the branch manager has been with the organization through second generation. And we were trying to bring around changes in the organization, the way the organization was being managed. And the branch manager, senior gentleman, was like, I've been doing this exactly, I've been running my branch exactly like this from your father's time. He was telling it to the CEO. आपके पापा के टाइम से हम इसी तरह से business कर रहे हैं. It has worked for us till now. Why are you asking us to change? So the answer that we had for the person was, has your customer changed? Has your products changed? Has your services changed? Has your pricing changed? Has your customer expectations changed? The way you're delivering your product, has that changed? The way you're selling your product, has that changed? If all of these things have changed, that means your business has changed. So there is no, you may be thinking that what we were doing before is still working today, but no, when everything else has changed. Now, what the only thing which is not changed is you. And before we get into that, one of the most common, when we did this test a couple of months ago, we did this test, we said, what does reinvention mean for you? These were some of the terms that we got. resilience, positive habits, change, upgradation, growth, etc. So I'm going to stop here for a moment and I want to ask everybody here who's here, what, according to you, is reinvention for your business? Quickly, if I could get some answers. What is reinventing the business mean for your business? Anybody?
I would say redoing everything. I mean, I don't think we can put a limit to, one thing and the other. Trying to redo everything the way we have been doing maybe is not working. So, it's just reinvention is like a review of everything.
Review of everything. Okay.
Maybe,
Good point.
if we have to give a technical answer, like review the business model, the entire business model.
Sounds good. Thank you for that, Nikhil. Great.
Yeah.
Anybody else? What is reinvention? Reinventing the business, what does it mean for you? You're all here. I believe that as business owners, when we take time away from our business to attend these kind of sessions, there's only one agenda. We are not here to get theoretical knowledge. We are here to take information and go and apply it in our business. Right? Varna, you can always, read books, access Google, etc. You're here because you want to get into a conversation, learn from here, get the clarity so that can I apply whatever I'm learning in my business. So use this time to engage with me. Okay. So would anybody else want to ask, share what is business reinvention for them? No? Learning from past mistakes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that, Shriyasha.
Yeah, just to trigger something, from my side, what I have done is in the last probably about 1 year, my business has gone through definitely a lot of, ups and downs. So I'm looking at redoing all my products, whatever the offerings, I've reworked on them, and I've looked at I've been more market centric is what I can probably say.
Good point.
Or trying to be.
Good point. So definitely a product or a service is one place where you can reinvent yourself, right? So they are actually, for all of you over here, there are multiple ways, multiple parts of your business where you can reinvent. And I'm going to talk about some of them over here today and some of them on 29th. By the way, today's session, I don't know if you're aware of this. This is part 1 of the session today because I wanted more time to engage with you rather than just do a presentation and walk away. So today is part 1 and on 29th, day after tomorrow is part 2. Okay. So please make sure that you're available day after tomorrow, same time, 4 to 5. So now let's get back over here. So, what's interesting is when we did this test, when we did this real quick exercise about understanding what does reinvention mean for business owners, one question I had was this: can we reinvent our business without actually reinventing ourselves? As business owners, we need to first reinvent ourselves. Only then are we going to be able to see all the reinvention opportunities that we have in business. So here's a quick tip for all of us. And I'm counting myself because I'm also an entrepreneur and I'm an SME entrepreneur. I'm counting myself along with you. So I'll only share things which apply, which actually I know works for me, right? In a bottle, the bottleneck is always at the top. Right? So if there is any issue in an organization, whether it is stagnation, whether it is a degrowth, whether it is a plateaued approach, whatever is the challenge, one of the things that we need to start doing is to first check with the top level teams. Many a time the bottleneck is over there, and not just always look at the bottom, not just look at the employees, but look at the top level teams. For some of you, this must be obvious. Obviously, this is what I do. I will look at myself. पहले मैं अपना देखता हूँ कि मैं क्या गलत कर रहा हूँ, मैं क्या गलत कर रही हूँ, and then I look forward. Then I look at others. But for quite a few people, this information is actually this comes across as, okay, what do I look at? Right? Many a times, it is the founder, it is the business owner, or the leadership team who is a significant part of the problem. Now, this could happen because of their own management style. They could be very some business founders or the leadership teams are very directive. They tell you, so they give a lot of freedom to their teams. Unfortunately, the teams may not be mature enough to take that freedom and churn out something more productive. So that teams actually may need more guidance, more control, more support, more structure, rather than being very openly giving them the open field. Then we look at the controlling style, which are, again, you have certain management styles which are very controlling in terms of telling you exactly what to do, when to do, how to do, and um, there is no space to do something on their own. And then you have that indecisive style. A lot of foreigners I've seen. Today you're focusing on this. Tomorrow there is something. You're going in a completely different directions. And it doesn't have to be only the leadership level. I mean, not just at the central comp. So when we have the corporate office and we've got the branch office or the ancillary offices, if this management style is can creep across even at the branch level, right? So all of these can be a reason for an organization struggling. The challenge is that most of us are unaware of our own limitations. And that is why, platforms like Vadwani offer mentors, coaches to kind of help you, or even consultants to help you identify if there's a challenge within yourself and or with your leadership team and try to work that out. Okay. Now, let's be looking at the business owner. Let's look at the business. Okay. Quite often, when mature organizations, when they start experiencing stagnations, it's one of the common reasons is because of the processes that they have developed and the hierarchies which they have created. Okay. And while we have this, on the other side, you've got these startups. The startups today, there's a lot that all of us can learn from the startups. And there's a lot that we can also teach the startups, right? So the startup culture, for example, is one which is very high on innovation. They're trying to innovate how things are actually being done till now. They're questioning the norms and they're figuring out, is there something that we can do in the same thing? Can we do it in a different manner, which is more productive, which is more efficient, which is more effective, which is less risky, which is more price wise, it is more it's more not just as cheaper, but it is more efficient also, right? So while we are looking at all of these things, how can we as SME business owners actually start developing this startup thinking mode? Okay, how can we start asking how can we start developing this innovative questioning mindset within the team? Okay, so here's an example. Identify some problems within an organization which are constant. These are small problems, they are constantly you're facing, that for all you know, you've actually become used to it. You've even, so much that you don't even notice this, right? Take these, make a list of all these challenges, get your team together and say, what are the common challenges which are either stealing your time, stealing resources, it could, or even your money, you need more people to do the same thing. You're spending more money to do the small little things, or you're taking a lot more time to do some work, right? Even small day-to-day work. Try to make a list of all of these, okay? Identify your top one or two such challenges and create a, team which is cross-functional team, okay? And ask them to find out a solution for just one problem at a time. Here's an example, okay? An organization that I was working with, the production team was always delayed. There were always a delay by which they were in the delivery numbers, and they had various reasons always. Okay, so what we did was we created a cross-functional team, which included from the sales team was there, the procurement team was there, the customer service team was there, and even the finance team was there. We created a small team across all of these functions and said, why don't you sit down with the procurement team and figure out what is it that we can do to address this continuous ongoing delay in productions. Okay, so here's what they did. They came back with us with various ways to solve this. Okay, first one, they said that the procurement team needed advance notice of the sales numbers so that they can stock up on the raw material or the semi manufactured material which they are requiring. Okay, then the sales team said, okay, this is easy. I can share my pipeline with you. And I can share, I'm anyway tracking my pipeline, and I'm anyway tracking what is the probability of my pipeline. You will have to manage with that, but I'm not very sure how much of them will I be able to achieve. So that's there. The second one was about sampling. The production team said that I'm spending a lot of time on sampling, which is just 1 or 2 units, and taking away a lot of time where I should be focusing that time on doing my bulk. So we said, okay, can we pull out either a small team to do sampling, or can we outsource some of the sampling work so that the production team is not wasting their time on that, and they're focusing on the production numbers itself, right? So these were some of the examples that we were actually able to do. So we also included the HR. So we also looked at how we can get better people at the production line so that we increase the efficiency of this. We started measuring what is the production per employee. So if you see, though it was a production problem, sales was able to contribute. We had finance was able to contribute, HR was able to contribute, and procurement was able to contribute. So this is an example of how, as an existing business, rather than just make each silo, each department solve their own problem, try to get more people from outside the department, outside the division, outside the branch, for example, and try to solve that problem and see what are the solutions. Some solutions may not be applicable, some solutions will be applicable. Definitely give this a try. Okay, so now Nikhil actually already shared this, but here's how we can start with our reinvention. First is you start reviewing your current situation. That's why I started with the current state. Start reviewing the current state. Okay. See which of these you can reinvent. And then this is the time for you to start rebooting. So what are we going to review? We're going to review starting from your vision and goals. Then you're looking at your market coverage strategy. You're looking at your competition. You're looking at your product strategy, product or service strategy. You're looking at your brand and marketing strategies. You're looking at an organization structure and your people management. So in essence, if you see with all of these units, what you're doing is you're actually re-looking or you're reviewing your entire business plan. And if you land up reinventing your entire business plan, for all you know, you're going to come up with a new business model, which is different and more productive than the rest of the market. So this is what we're going to do for the rest of the session today and on Thursday. We are going to be focusing on reviewing these different structures. So let's start with reviewing your vision. Now, all of us have a current reality and a desired future. We know where we are, we know where we want to go. But very few of us are actually able to make this journey successfully between our reality and our future. Okay. And for me, one of the reasons for this is one of the way to actually do this is to bridge the gap by disrupting what already is, questioning the norm. Just because we've been doing the same thing we've been doing a particular thing in the same manner, this does not mean that that is how we can continue doing it in the future. Look at it and say, how can I make this better? Can I make it more efficient? Can I make this more productive? Can I make this service, this product, this division revenue generating? Okay, start thinking about that And then once you've disrupted that, you put in as then after that you create new systems to be able to reach your desired future. Now let me give you an example. This seems like lots of gyan, so let me give you an example. An organization that I was working with again, they had a telesales team that was responsible B2B, and they were responsible for generating leads and setting up appointments for their sales team. Now, when I questioned them on what is the target for this for the telesales team, they said the targets were predominantly for setting up meetings, and some branches had 20 calls per day. Some branches had 40 calls per day. Some branches said, no, our targets are 10 meetings per week. We don't care how many calls that they do. Some branches said, no, we have 5 meetings per week. So I said, okay, all these is very good. What about the revenue target? After all, it's sales. Though it's tele sales, it's still sales. So they had a lot of reasons. Telesales is not responsible for closure. They don't have any control on this. They can only generate leads. So I don't think so. We should. That's why we don't not given them any revenue targets. We insisted and we said, okay, let's give this a test, and we actually gave the telesales team a target based on the branch revenues, a percentage of the branch revenues. And it was a soft target. What do you mean by soft target? It was that if they don't achieve those targets, they will not be penalized. I'm talking about revenue targets, by the way. Okay. But if they do achieve it, they will get an incentive. So we created a motivation in the first quarter. Now, what was very interesting was this. The telesales team, they completely shifted from just getting any leads to getting real, solid, strong leads. They were spending more time with the customer, trying to map all the information, doing their best to convince them to get a meeting for the sales team. So the quality of the leads increased drastically. Okay, so it did not matter that earlier they had 20 meetings, now they have 5 meetings, because these 5 meetings were actually much more better than the 20 meetings before. The second thing was that the sales team became much more accountable, because now they also have to give the feedback to the telesales team who's giving the lead about what is the status of the sales call. And this information was required from the sales team and not by the telesales. Because so the sales team had to become more accountable about the meetings that they were doing, right? And what was each lead that they had, how did they treat it, how did they manage it? Overall, the alignment between the telesales and the sales team improved drastically, which of course impacted the revenue numbers also. So this is just one way of questioning the norm, that why should the telesales team only be given phone calls target and not revenue targets. So these are some ideas I wanted to think, that while for a lot of us in the year 2020 things went wrong, 21, 22 has changed the way we've been doing things. Can we use this time, Jan, Feb, and March, to look at how realigning our vision for 2023, so that we can actually question some of the things which are there right now and ask, can we improve on any of these things? Now, the idea is that as a business, if anybody has seen these boat races, especially in Kerala and Orissa, is that we all are moving towards our vision and goals. And we have different growth pillars: brand, product, market, competition, people, organization structure. And if all of us are not rowing together in the same speed, in the same direction, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to achieve our goals. So let's talk about the first pillar of our reinvention pillar, which is our vision and an out. Here, we are trying to attach our goals and our vision with the activities that we are doing. So every vision that we've got, and as some of you have shared your vision at the session today, every vision that you've got has goals associated with it. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I'm sure most of you have done. I've seen some other sessions which spoke about goals, etc. So I'm not going to spend too much time here on that. You're always welcome to talk to me separately about that, right? Every strategy has a set of tactics which you define with them, and they all have to align. If one of them is not working, this machinery is not going to work for you, right? With this, you have defined, you are defining your engagements, and ultimately, this is the outcome that you are looking for. And you've got measurement units throughout of this. Now, I want you to go back and see your current outcomes. Are they in line with the vision that you have drawn for your organization? If you are, if your vision, for example, is to become the largest organization in one particular segment, right? What are the strategies that you're doing to achieve that vision? What are the tactics and what is the results that is coming? If your outcome is not in line with the vision, then you go backwards. From your outcome, look at your tactics. Can you see what is not working in your tactics? Is that the gear which is not working properly? Can you repair that? If the tactics is working properly, then you look at your strategy and say that, have I identified the right strategies to receive to ensure that my outcomes are right? If your strategies are also correct, it's only then that you go back to your goals and visions and, have I identified the wrong goals and the wrong vision for my organization? So this, for me, is the way that you actually look at your vision. How else can you measure your vision? It's only based on the outcome. Okay. So, and whichever is not working is the space that you have to reinvent yourself. So this is the first part, which is the organization vision and the goals. The next one is the market and the competition. Before I move to that, any questions on the organization goals and the vision? Have all of you identified your visions? Yes, no? Okay, Vivek is saying yes, thank you. Are you all clear what is your vision for your organization? Have you identified your goals? Sarang is also saying yes, thank you so much. What about your goals? Do you have a clear goals for 2023 identified? Interestingly, recently I was again working with another organization. I At the corporate level, we set up goals for everybody. When I was doing a review at the branch level, and I was talking to the branch manager, he had absolutely no idea. And this was a sales review, so we're talking about sales targets or sales goals. He had absolutely no idea what was his target for the month of January. So he said, "Ma'am, I know what is my target for December, and this review happened yesterday." So I said, "Okay, fine. It's good that you know what is your sales review for target for December, but right now, all the meetings that you're doing are actually going to be contributing towards your targets for January. So what target are you chasing? What numbers are you chasing? आप किसके लिए भाग रहे हो अभी? किस नंबर के लिए आप भाग रहे हो? अगर आपको ये पता नहीं है, you don't know that right now, how are you going to meet your targets? January 27th, I cannot be talking about your January targets. It's too late for you to do that right now. Today, with your pipeline, you know how much of your January targets you're going to be able to achieve. If you do not know, if you do not know what is the January target, how will you know what kind of customers to run behind, what kind of projects to run behind, right? How many calls you need, how many meetings do you need, whether you need to look at a premium customer or your the high price customer or the low price customer, but who's easier for you to convince. How will you know all of these things? So this is an example when your goals are not are not clear in your head, but activities are going on. Everybody's running around, but they don't know which direction they are. The goal is a direction. So that's one thing which I feel is, quite a few organizations, they may be doing it at some some divisions, but in some parts of it, they may be doing it at the corporate level, but not at the branch level. They may be doing it at their bigger branch level, but not at the smaller branch level. They may be doing it at the CEO level, but not at the manager level, right? So this organization vision and the goals have to be percolated, have to come down. So if you're looking at sales goals, for example, your organization goals, from there you got your branch goals, or your product goals, or your division goals, and from there it's going to be individual people's goals, right? Each person, each salesperson, telesales, pre-sales, after sales, what are their goals that they are contributing? That they, each one of them should be very clear that about what are the numbers that they are chasing in terms of sales. The same thing can be done for non-revenue goals also. Now let's look at the market coverage strategy. Now that you know the goal, you know where the goal post is. Okay, so now let's start talking about your market coverage strategy. Now, there are two ways in which you can increase your market coverage. Either you go in deeper, okay, or you go in wider. That means you add more and more clients in the same segment, same sector, same geography, or same product lines, etc. Or it could be opposite, where you go horizontal. So you go in for a wider geographies, a wider customer segments, and I'll talk to you about each of them. So when we're looking at a market coverage strategy, we're looking at three segments. Okay, with three, we can divide it into three. One is geography, customer, and the channel. So how do you start reviewing? Remember we said review, reinvent, and reboot. So these are the questions that you're going to ask when you are reviewing your geographies. Okay, look at your current team, look at the profitability of each geography that you're doing. Look at which geographies are you focusing on. Is it in line with your vision? Are you looking at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities? Okay, are you looking at domestic or international city markets? Is it possible for you to explore online markets, whether it is your own marketplace or a common marketplace like the GEM platform? Okay, is there can you increase your geography presence by just by being present online? Can you cross borders by just being present online? What are your options for the next year? So these are the space that we start looking at your geography. Look at your current geography segments. Look at the profitability of each geography. Again, one of the organizations that I was working with, they had multiple geography presence, and we were looking at their sales targets. We were all very happy that overall, as of December first week, we had achieved 98% of our sales targets, and the next 3 months are very busy months for them. So we are sure that we will cross the 100 plus 120% of the target. That's the projection that we had. So we were all feeling very happy. Said, okay, now let's start looking at overall 120%. Let's start looking at each geography, each branch. And we realized there were some branches who had achieved 140% in the current 98%, right? They had some branches who had achieved 140% of their targets, whereas there were some branches who were less than 60% of their targets. Okay, so they were actually in the red, less than 60%. If they're already there, it's very difficult for them to catch up for the next 3 months. So we identified that, overall, because there were some super performers and there were some below average performers, it averaged the entire growth of the organization to 98%, and that's not a good strength. So what we need to do is look at each geography and say, what is the profitability over there? And I'm talking about profitability, I'm not talking about revenue, including all your costs, your revenues, everything per segment, and identify which of those geographies should you be focusing upon. If it is a geography which is not performing, does it make sense for you to continue over there or stop that geography and move into geographies which are doing very well? Or vice versa. If it's a geography where the market is very good, but you're not performing very well, does it make sense for you to focus on that and improve that top line, improve the profitability over there, which will actually do overall growth of your organization will become much more higher. So first one is the geography segments. Second one is your customer segments. Based on which products and services and which geographies that we are looking at. Identify your customer segments. In the initial part of today's meeting, I said that there are possibility that some of your customer segments have completely dried out. So new customer segments have arrived. So is it possible for you to explore new customer segments? If you're looking at online presence and you're not limited by geography, what are the new customer segments that you are looking that is possible for your business? Can you bring in new customer segments which you have not addressed before? Is it possible for you to look at them? Which of these customer segments are actually going to give you quick successes? That means they're not going to ask for a longer credit periods. It is possible for you to ask advances. Their cash, their payment terms are much. They actually fulfill their payment. When they say 45 days, they actually pay to you 45 days. That's not mean that you have to chase them for 5 months. That is at one level. Evaluate your customer segments that way. On the other side, look at your customer segments where it is easier for you to sell, right? Uh, and see if it is possible for you to expand in that customer segments. So evaluate your customer, review your customer segments and see if there are opportunities for you over there. Then we look at the channels. The channels is how do you reach those customers, right? Whether are you going to be using the retail format, the distributor format, the dealers format? Are you if you're in the B2B space, are we looking at institutional sales, government sales? Is there a platform that you can utilize to reach out to those customers, right? Uh, is there a alliance program? Can you get a franchisee program, alliance program in place? So what are the channels that you have not discovered? Which channels are giving you better leads? Which channels are giving you quick closures, highest sales revenues, highest conversions? Look at your channel segments and redefine if there's anything that you can do to improve on those channel segments. And then this is about your market and then looking at the competition. Now that we understood what customers are we looking for, what geographies are we looking at, and how the market is performing. One of the things that I notice a lot, this is the last slide I'm talking about today, is that many organizations come back and tell me that, Neetu, there is no difference between what I'm offering and somebody else offering. Me and my competitor are offering exactly the same thing. Especially this happens in trading, in services, or in broking industries, right? But the truth is that there is an opportunity for us to create a differentiation between us and them. It doesn't always have to be only on your product and services. It could be at the speed at which you're doing, at the convenience at which you're doing, the timing that you're doing, the efficiency with which, like, zero error or 99.99 errors. There's so many other different differentiators that you can actually create and talk about so that the customer is able to see that doing business with you, even though it's the same product or service somebody else is also providing, but doing business with you is much more better for them, because it is more efficient, because more effective, what are more like I said, convenient. Pricing is not just always differentiator. The next thing is competition knowledge. Get to know your competitors, get to know what they are doing, and see if you ensure that if there's something that they are not doing and you can do, identify that. Is there something that they are doing and you're not doing? Identify that. So you have to have a close eye on your competitors, because some of those competitors are actually shaking the world, whereas you may not be sitting in the corner quietly happy with your your own business as such, right? So look at what the competitors are, learn from them, their mistakes and their strengths, both learn it from them, and you will make a lot of difference in your own business. Okay, so with this, so today what we have done, we have covered only two pillars: organization, vision and goals, and the market and competition. On Thursday, we're going to cover product and product services, marketing and branding, organizational structure, and then ultimately the complete business plan, getting all of these things together. We're going to be talking about that. So in the meantime, I'm going to open the floor for questions. I know I went quite fast. So I am now available for questions till whatever time that you want to be here.
Miss Neetu, Nikhil here.
हाँ निखिल बताइए.
One important point that you brought about with respect to the competition knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a holy grail. It's so difficult. So is there a way in which we can crack this? Is there some way in which we can figure this out? I know that it's a very, it's not going to be so organized to give an answer like that, but some experience in that area.
Sure. So good question. Thank you for asking that, Nikhil. Okay. So first of all, what I do is I define 3 types of competitors. Okay. One is a direct competitor, somebody who's doing and offering exactly the same thing that we are doing. Okay. So if somebody else is, if you are in the auto ancillary for a particular product line, somebody else is also doing the same thing. That's your direct competitor, right? The second one is the what I call the what we all call the indirect competitor. That's an alternative option for the customer. For a lot of technology companies, the alternative can also be free resources, right? Or in my case, as a business mentor, the alternative can also be, Google is my competitor that way, right? So these are resources that are available for your customer segments. They may not want to take spend money on your services. So that's the alternative. You should be aware of that. The third one for me is the aspirational competitor. The competitor where they are right now on a much more higher stage than you are, and you may not want, like for a logistic company, Maersk can be an aspirational competitor. Look at what they are doing, because they have a lot of resources to identify the market trends, to identify the challenges, to identify what new things that customer wants, to do the market research. So they have started putting all of these things in place. So it's for us, our job is very simple. We just have to copy paste what they're doing. Okay, so these are 3 things. So the other day, somebody was asking me, what should I know about my competitor? My answer was, everything that you know about your business, you should know about a competitor. And I know it's very difficult. The first thing that you do is you train your own sales team. Every time they go, they meet an account, whether it's the first time that they're meeting the person or they've lost the order, they need to ask which is who are the other service providers or product companies that they are working with, right? Try to get that information. It may not come from the decision maker, but others down the line, from the from the receptionist to the secretaries to the junior managers. The information is possible. You will not get it all the time. I'm aware of that, but some of the times you will get. A simplest thing I remember we did when we were in sales, we used to do this. When we used to go to the corporates and when we are entering into the in the register to meet the person, we actually check out in the register who else has come, which company say kon aaya hai to meet the same person. So you can see who's the competitor over there. And believe me, we've done some good sales because we saw somebody else coming. So us company se aaya hai, so I know that competitor is going to talk about this feature, so I can talk about something else, which is where I'm better at it. And you will only be able to do that when you're doing a competitor analysis. In my earlier segment on the digital marketing, I've actually given a small exercise which talks about how knowledge of the competitor can also help you in your marketing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So these are some of the things that we can do. And of course, in the digital sense, you can start following your customer, your competitor on social platforms. You can create alerts for them so that you know what they are doing, especially the aspirational ones. And using that, you can actually you can also design your own strategies. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. Okay. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Any other question? Okay, no questions?
So I see Sarang has unmuted. Sarang, do you have a question or is just by mistake
Just a
you?
quick question, like, the moment you were talking about one A is the strategy, B is the goal.
Hmm.
As far as the clarity of goal is concerned, the financial goal remains clear to most of the, key
Correct.
stakeholders.
Correct.
Right. Rest of the things we started practicing it off late in terms of aligning our internal processes, client satisfactions, because we are into the service industry.
Mm-hmm.
So the client satisfaction, then followed by the processes, and then finally the employee well-being in terms of learning and management.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we look at the current context, it's a completely employee-driven market. How clear they are or how equipped they are in terms of learning and unlearning in order
Correct.
to achieve that financial goal. So financial goal alone is not,
I
kind of
agree.
addressing, helping us, achieve our overall organizational objectives.
I
So
agree.
that's how these are the, small alignment or realignment that we have done.
Hmm.
So,
Thank you.
so
Thank you for pointing that out, Sarang.
yeah,
I generally use the examples of the revenue goals. It's easier to give examples, but I completely agree with you. In fact, every growth pillar that I talk about, you can actually identify goals for that. So, for example, customer segments, when we are talking about, they are organizations who have some great customers that they are working with. So there, the goal that we set for them could be that I want my what we call the category A customers, the premium customers, right? I want 80% of my customer base to belong to a category A or a category B customers. That's your premium customers or the second premium tier customers, right?
all right.
That could be one. That could be your goal. Now, to do that, what are the activities what are the tactics that you require, right? uh, Product wise, it could be if you've got two or three different product lines, and say that one particular, my total revenues should come from a particular product line because the profitability is the highest over there. It could be that, or it could be that I want to get a market share of in the product line specifically. That could also say that I want to achieve 20% of the market share from for this particular product. That could be your target also. Same thing with geography also. I know organizations who are saying that their targets, their goal is to ensure that they cover, for example, South India completely. So at every tier one and tier two city, they're going to have a presence either directly or through a distributor, right? So
Understood.
even those are all goals. So every pillar can actually have goals in it, and you will only be able to do that when you review all of this and say, okay, you know what? I have a category A type of customers and I have category C type of customers. Customer category C is taking away a lot of my resources, but I get very little profit out of them. So I have to ensure that I increase the number of category A and B type of customers and reduce the category C customers. So all of these goals actually will end up coming only when you're able to question each pillars that you're doing. But thank you very much for bringing that to the notice here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Any other questions or any other inputs that you would want to include in today's session?
I think there are no more questions for today, Neetu.
Okay, great.
And but I'll still request all the participants. Nikhil, I see you
Yeah.
unmuted yourself, so just want to
Yeah.
check. Do you have any question?
No, not a question, more a request to
Mhm.
Ms. Neetu. If you
Okay.
could,
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead,
maybe
please.
time permitting, I know you have been rushing through. I know there is a lot of things to actually communicate, and you've been trying to do your best through these two sessions. But if there is a little bit time, if you could throw a little more light on the vision and the goals part, I'm talking about the intricacy of connecting them because visions are quite nice, but goals are, it's not so easy. So if there is something that you can throw some light on that, it would be really nice in the next session.
Sure, sure. I shall. So, you're right, Nikhil. Just to tell everybody, I actually run a 6 weeks group mentoring program, where every week we take one of these segments, right? So vision and goals, we spend 4 hours on that, more than 4 hours, but each of these pillars, vision and goals is one. The second one is market coverage. The third one is product strategy. The fourth one is organization structure, branding and marketing, HR, and then the entire business. But we actually spend a lot of time per week on each one of them. And I'm just trying to cover everything in 1 hour today. So it is quite challenging that way. But you're right. There is a lot. So here's what we could do. For next session, before the next session, if each of you could share what is your current vision and your goal. Okay, share it beforehand. Kedar, is there any way that we can do that on the platform or a form or something? And then maybe I could give, I can collect all of that and spend 5 minutes next time just on that, on the organization vision and goals. It is more specific to the people rather than just giving some overhead gyan to everybody. Is that possible for us to do it?
Sure, or I can give your email ID to the participants in the chat box, and they can drop you email along with
Yeah,
the
I'm happy to do that also. Just give me what is your current vision and your current goal for 2023. What's your plans? And let's talk about that specifically.
Right. So I'm just going to put down your email ID in the chat box. And then everybody can write to you with the details.
Yeah, I can do that. So I was just telling you about the sessions that I do. The way we work in those sessions are that 1 week I talk about, like today, for example, I would spend 2 hours talking about the vision and the goals, and it's a small group exercise that we do together. And the next week, each organization in the group, they present their strategy. So it could be the 1 week they present on vision and goals, and we try and break it down, and we discuss about whether it can be improved, what are the impact of having that kind of a vision and a goal, how are they going to actually activate that, etc., in the group setting. And the next week we talk about the market coverage and the competition. Again, I spend 1 day when I talk about what are the various questions, etc., that we can do, and then 1 week later, the team, each organization in the presents their market coverage and their competition strategies. So if you see, we spend the reason I give this 1 week gap in between each of these sessions is because we want people to go back, talk to their teams, talk to their co-founders, their advisors, their customer segments, do their market research, and come back and say, hey, this is what I'm planning. This is my strategy for this pillar for next month. For next year. So we'll end up actually spending 6 weeks. Each week we focus on one pillar. Towards the 6th week is where we have the complete reinvented business plan for the next year.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. So I get more information about this program on your website.
Let me do one thing. Let me just quickly show you what it is, and I can share the link with you for that. Where is it?
You can share the link in the chat box also.
Yeah. I'm just pulling that out. Here is the link for the event for that. And I'll just show you one screen. Sorry, this is the entire. So this is what the way it works, right? Week 1 on a Saturday evening, we talk about organization vision and goals. Week 2 on a Friday, the participants, they present their organization and goals. Then the next day, Saturday, I will talk about market coverage and competition mapping in more detail. Each one of them are 2-hour sessions. And then the week later, the participants present their market coverage and competition mapping strategies that they have, right? Same thing goes for product or service, marketing and branding. organization people, and then in the end, we do the entire business plan. So it's a 6 weeks program with a review after 1 quarter. So the idea is that it is not just Gyan. We are going to work with you on a week-on-week basis to ensure that all of these strategies that you're putting together is one, thought through, vetted, not just with me, but with the group itself. And of course, ultimately, it's something which you're able to execute. So after 1 quarter, we come back and say, okay, when you executed these strategies, what were your challenges? What worked? What did not work also?
Yeah. Great. Let me make use of this link that you just shared.
Yes,
to get
please.
more. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question also. So, okay, thank you very much. I think we've crossed our time again. So my email ID is there in the chat. Go ahead and send me what is your vision and what are your goals. Any other queries, send me a mail on that, and maybe we can get into this discussion. Okay, I'm resharing my email ID. Here we go. So whatever I have spoken about today, these are all practical exercises that I do with the business and mentor and coach. So these are all practical examples. I'm trying as much as possible not to give you gyan, but to actually put in things which has been tried and tested, discussions, case studies, etc. I'm hoping that it has helped you relate that information to your business.